I'm Logan Ware. I'm the commercial director for Blue Origin based here in Paris. I've been here for a few years. It's an honor to be a part of these sessions that IAF puts on. Blue Origin's a proud member of IAF. We see particularly our international team sees a lot of value from these sessions, these committees, and the dialogue that occurs in these sessions. I'd like to start with a bit of background about Blue Origin, because frankly, we've been around for a long time. We've been a very quiet company for most of the time that we've been operating. And I want to talk maybe first about our mission, our vision, and then of course we'll talk about our first launch on the 16th of January. So we were founded about 20 years ago. So in 2000, Blue Origin was founded by Jeff Bezos. We operated as very much a research and development operation until we started some of our major programs. We have over 10,000 employees. We are proud to say that we've launched quite a few astronauts to space. I'll talk a bit about our suborbital launch vehicle, New Shepard. We've launched 52 astronauts to space. One of those astronauts was not me on that cover page. That was Emily Calandretti, one of our recent astronauts this year. We're looking forward to more launches of New Shepard and more astronauts this year. So we're doing everything that we do within the company with a common goal. So all of our employees have a vision with the idea of millions of people living and working in space, and an emphasis on working in space, where there's commercial activity in that space ecosystem. So this is key for us, and we see accomplishing that vision in three major steps. And let me pick up the clicker before I continue. The first is to reduce the cost of access to space. So how can we drastically reduce the cost so that companies, governments, institutions can fly and operate in space? This is key for us. And the way that we do that is by building reusable launch vehicles. The second step is, once we're in space, we want to harness the limitless resources that are in space. Earth is finite, and we are harnessing the resources here terrestrially, but the goal is access the infinite resources that are in space. And if we can figure out how to do that, most closely on the moon, these are going to be major milestones in our journey to having millions of people living and working in space. And then third, and this is as important as the prior two, is this is a multi-generational initiative, and inspiring the next generation is critical. We're doing that through a nonprofit organization called Club for the Future, and we have partnered with many institutions and many nonprofit organizations across the globe to inspire young people to work in STEM, STEAM, and pursue careers in space, because we need these generations to pick up where we've left off and continue to achieve some of these amazing milestones. All right, so that's a bit of the preface. The way that Blue Origin is organized is in 5 primary business units. I talked a bit about New Shepard. It's a human spaceflight vehicle. It operates out of West Texas, and it's flown 52 people to space since it started operations. We've flown New Shepard many more times than that, but we've proudly flown a ton of astronauts to space. This was my first job at Blue Origin. I was the crew capsule program director, so inside that capsule in which Audrey, which is our head of New Shepard operations and maintenance, looking out the window at Earth, one of the toughest projects, we're figuring out which cameras we put inside this capsule. We picked some very nice ones, and we start to get to see, for those of us, including myself, who's not an astronaut, get to see what the overview effect looks like from space that many of our astronauts have gotten to experience. We've taken the technology from New Shepard, and we've built that into New Glenn very early on. So New Shepard is a liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen rocket. The second stage of New Glenn is a liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen system. New Shepard is a fully reusable rocket. New Glenn is intended to be a reusable orbital rocket. So taking some of the learning from the operations of New Shepard, passing those forward to New Glenn. New Glenn is a staple as a part of our lunar architecture. You see here in the middle, our lunar permanence architecture, where we have an initiative to go back to the moon, starting with Artemis 5, taking astronauts back to the surface of the moon. New Glenn is a foundational aspect of that architecture. The fourth business unit is engines. So we're building engines for all three of these systems. For New Shepard, we have a BE3 engine. For New Glenn, we have a BE4 engine on the first stage and a BE3 engine on the second stage. So as you can see, this is all kind of carry forward from our early programs. And then we have a BE7 engine for our lunar lander. We also sell those engines to ULA. ULA uses those for their Vulcan rocket. And we're glad to say that those have been operating quite successfully. And then finally, we have a business unit called In-Space Systems. The product within In-Space Systems that you're seeing in the image is called Blue Ring. And I'll talk a bit more about that because we flew a demonstration mission for Blue Ring on our first flight of New Glenn. So this is New Glenn. We had our first launch on January 16th. It was an incredibly successful launch, and it's laying the groundwork for a lot of mass to space in a very cost-effective way. So maybe a couple points to note here. It's incredible capacity to GTO. You can see it's 13 metric tons to GTO, and it's 45 metric tons to LEO, and these are in reusable configurations. New Glenn is essentially a one-size-fits-all rocket, and it's got high performance to a variety of orbits. It's intended to be operated 25 times, so launch, reuse, launch, reuse, launch, reuse. So this is New Glenn, and I guess I'll let maybe New Glenn speak for itself. I've got a quick video here from the first launch. Oh, maybe before that. This is where we build New Glenn. This is our manufacturing complex. This is in Cape Canaveral, Florida. It's a very large campus. The primary, maybe I could do a pointer here. This is the primary manufacturing complex. We have in a variety of buildings all around the campus, and you can see the amount of construction going on. So this is very much turning into a small airport since we've been scaling New Glenn and its production. And then this is our launch complex at LC-36. It's the old Atlas launch site in Florida. It's a massive project. Over the last, let's say, 10 years, this has been completely renovated. You can see in the back we have our processing facility for our launcher, and then the launch pad with the tunnel just near the sea in Cape Canaveral. We call this LC-36, but this is really kind of our road to space. And then this is our landing barge. So offshore, we are recovering our booster to then bring back to the port and reuse and operate that vehicle. These are some pictures from the first launch. The engines were very on brand. They are incredibly blue, and they lit up the sky. I was thrilled when we launched this, that it is.
This is our first
it was
flight,
really
and our
amazing
key objective today
how those engines
to reach
performed.
orbit safely. orbit safely. Congratulations, Blue Origin.
Cool, they made that super short. Yeah, yeah. The team was absolutely stoked. I was there in Florida, and you know, having not been part of the engineering or product development or operations team, it was really impressive to see how passionate this team was, that put a ton of their time, their energy, their family's energy into getting this successful launch off this year. So very proud to be a part of that team. I'm just gonna rattle off a few notable successes. You know, we talked about the engines. The BE4 engines performed nominally during ascent, throttle down, shut down on their first flight on New Glenn. BE3 went through all 4 commanded thrust levels, a highly accurate orbital insertion. The next video, I think, talks a little bit about the orbital insertion of the vehicle. And then demonstrated separation, and then got to an orbital debris mitigation standard practice compliant orbit. So overall, an incredibly successful first launch for New Glenn. We've got a lot of work to do on New Glenn to get to more launches this year. This was the payload that was on New Glenn's first mission.
It's going to be a massive asset because it now allows all these payload customers to offload all of their data relay and critical processing needs.
A lot of our work is going to be done in geostationary orbit for sure, but we've got capabilities to go out to cislunar orbits and interplanetary.
This first mission, it demonstrates our space-to-ground interfaces. So it proves out that we can command our vehicle on orbit, can receive data from the vehicle.
We'll be testing out and demonstrating a lot of the capabilities that will be hosted on the Blue Ring vehicle as a whole.
New Glenn is ready for launch of Blue Ring Pathfinder.
Lift off.
Separation confirmed.
GS2 is now orbital.
So again, the demonstration mission on New Glenn tested out many of the communications and avionics capability for Blue Ring. Blue Ring, the short of it is it's a very large space mobility vehicle. It's got some of the specifications here on the screen, but you can think up or dream up a variety of applications, either thinking of geo orbits, exploration orbits, and a variety of applications for, like I said, commercial, civil, national security, and institutional applications. So this is a really important platform for Blue Origin over the coming years. So that's Blue Ring. New Glenn, like I said, is the foundation of many of the programs that Blue Origin is working on. It's the foundation for our missions to the moon. It's the foundation for vehicles like Blue Ring, all with the intent of lowering the cost of access to space. Any other final notes? Final notes on this first launch. It was very late, so I have a bit of a fog memory of the launch. But I guess maybe I'll reiterate the passion behind the Blue Origin team that went into this first launch of New Glenn. And that passion continues, I see, through the rest of this year as we get into our upcoming launches. Thank you. Thank you.